What's up? Welcome to Tea Time. I'm Ashley Adamson, and I do that usually. This is a trans show where we dust everything with trans. We just cover every topic with trans. It's all about personal growth. Like, it's a personal growth cake with like chocolate and ice cream inside, because that's delicious. And we kind of just dust trans all over it. So much so that there's like dust on the floor, and sometimes we do lines of trans. So this is a very trans show. If you're into that, please like and subscribe. If you're not into that, you can still like and subscribe, because it's all about personal growth. But yeah, so today we're gonna cover, what are we covering today? What did I just look at? Oh yeah, the key to inner transformation. That's a pretty important topic. So this is the key. Understanding that transformation is a process of putting your foot into something else and taking it out again. And every time you put your foot into it, a little bit of you changes. It's as if, I don't know if you ever played with food dye. Have you ever like dipped something in food dye and seen how the dye kind of creeps up the piece of paper or whatever you're dyeing? It's kind of like how change and transformation works. It's the fundamental concept. Your mind is designed to not just change overnight from black to white. It's just the same as if you are blue and you want to change to pink. You don't just change colors and then you're done. Transitioning is this process of working with your mind, your body, your entire system, to reconfigure it in a way that aligns with who you already know you are. And to work with it and to understand how to make this process happen, you also have to understand that it doesn't happen like that. It is a progressive and iterative thing. And this is probably the most important part of moving through this process, is knowing that it's this continual dipping, where every time you dip into it, the femininity, every time you dip into the femininity, it kind of becomes more and more of you. And I have a short story. The most like impactful moment in my transition was when I was at this music festival, and I call it my rebirth. And the first day at the festival, I basically started to have flashes of like a feminine self and complete being that like felt right. It was that euphoria. Like, have you ever had that moment, girls, where you felt an intense amount of euphoria, where you may have put on a dress, or you may have been treated in some way by other girls, or you were just like validated, where it felt really, really good. And you just felt that femininity in you in that moment, but then it faded and went away. Like that. That part sucks, right? But the part where you are feeling like completely embodied as a woman, and you go, wow, like that's what I want, and I want more of that, right? Like that's the thing that drives us through our transition, is I want more of that. I want more of that euphoria. I want more of that femininity. I want more of that feeling that feels really good, right? Don't you want that? I mean, I wish I could just inject myself with that. This is the trans topic aspect of things. But back to change and inner transformation, it's about understanding that when you dip into something, yeah, you change colors, you change, let's say I'm in a masculine frame, so I'm blue, and then I dip into that femininity, and so suddenly I'm pink. But when I come back to my center, when I woke up the next day at that festival, I woke up in the masculine framework again. I woke up with the old operating system of my mind. I woke up with the programming. I woke up with the mannerisms. I woke up with the system. And, you know, that can suck. You know, that's the kind of like the low. But by going to seek that out again, I found a much longer lasting experience of feeling in my feminine and in my feminine space. So much so that I had my upper energy centers open, and it was like someone poured liquid consciousness into my body, and it was my womanhood, it was myself, it was my femininity. And that like lasted for a much longer period of time. And the mind, it kind of works through this process. It goes, oh, okay, let me pick apart the pieces that resonate and let me integrate. And this is the integration process. And that is the key to transitioning and inner transformation, is understanding how this process works with integrating and changing who you are. So what this basically means for you is, if you're transitioning, is understand that this is not something where you just jump from A to B, that it is a continual exposure therapy. Are you familiar with this term, where they talk about, like, if you're afraid of a spider, you get exposed to the spider in a safe setting, and then eventually you start to kind of no longer associate it with fear? It's sort of like exposure therapy in a different setting, where exposing yourself to your femininity helps you become more familiar with it, helps you feel like it's more normalized and easier to integrate, because you continue to move with it, and your mind doesn't see it as a separate thing, but that it is your thing. And this is the process that we just keep going through as we transition. I'm still going through it. You're probably still going through it if you're watching this. But that is the key, is finding ways in which to expose yourself. And so we talk about dressing up feminine, we talk about embracing your femininity. I have this Inner Work Wednesdays video about letting go of your masculinity and kind of like bringing in that femininity. There's all of these ways that you can continue to expose yourself. And basically what you're doing is you're reprogramming your mind. You're rewiring those neurons to allow themselves to fire in a way where you're bringing through that feminine self that's been locked away and been kind of held back from the world, which is a catastrophe, because you're sharing a part of if you're not like fully expressing yourself, you're holding back, you're not being authentic, and you're not being you. And that's the most beautiful thing, is to just be you, be whoever you are, and share that, right? Like, how has it felt when you've been able to be yourself and share that with someone, right? Doesn't it feel great? And how much better do you make the world when you do that? And I think the part we underestimate is how much of an effect we have on other people by just being who we are. Like, I tell people all the time, like, on the first day you meet me, I'm the same person as the last day you meet me. And I mean that. I don't have time to hide who I am. I've told some really personal stuff to you. I've told some things that I've never told anyone in this Tea Time series. And, the one about sexuality is probably the big one, which also coincidentally has the most amount of views. So great, like, everyone knows my secret. But that, like, being expressive and being who you are and being able to say what you want to be in whatever moment you need to be it, that's powerful. And transformation is what's going to help you get there. So if it's not about femininity, if it's not about transitioning, it's about finding yourself. It's about exposing yourself to you and learning who you are, and continuing to double down on that, triple down on it, spend more on yourself. How's that feel? How's that feel to know that? And what's the question that you would ask yourself to help yourself be more of who you are? I guess my question would be that, like, how can you be more of who you are? And how can you help others do that as well? So this has been Tea Time. If you are interested in doing life coaching with me, I have a few spots open. My email is down below. And thanks for joining me. I'd love to hear your thoughts as usual. And I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. Bye.